Okay, the quadratic formula. Now, this is a tool that can be used for any quadratic to come up with a solution. Okay, any quadratic that you want, you can use the quadratic formula to come up with a solution here. Okay, so if I'm looking at this quadratic formula, there it is. X equals the opposite of b, plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So things we need to think about, if we look at this problem right over here, right, it looks like it's a little bit difficult to factor. Okay, you could probably try to use the AC method. I think it probably would work here because this is a rational solution, right? But you can see the AC method down here is not going to work, okay? And neither will it work down here, okay? So in order to come up with a solution, there is a formula that works. So first of all, you need to identify the A value, the B value, and the C value. So A is equal to 4, B is equal to 15, and then C is equal to negative 25. Be sure to make sure that you're keeping track of your signs, whether they're positive or negative, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to follow along with this quadratic formula and substitute the values in. Okay, notice that our equation is equal to 0 already. That's what we want. So let's substitute in here. So I've got the negative b, right? It's the first thing I'm going to substitute in. So the opposite of b is negative 15, plus or minus b squared. So 15 squared minus 4 times a times c. Okay, this is called the discriminant. It's underneath the radical. So I've got A is 4, and then C is negative 25, all divided by 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so before you throw this into our calculator, just deal with the discriminant underneath. Okay, so I've got negative 15 plus or minus whatever this thing is underneath. Just do that directly in your calculator. So if, here, let me just show you, I might as well. Okay, so I've got 15 squared minus 4 times A, which was 4, times C, which was negative 25. Right, so if I do that in my calculator, I'm going to get 625 as one of our answers. So if I go back in here, I'm going to write the square root of 625. All divided by 2 times 4 is 8. Okay. Now, if this works, great. Let's check it out. What is the square root of 625, which some of you know already is 25? Okay, so this is going to break down to now negative 15 plus or minus 25 divided by 8. Okay, so there's two cases again, right? We have two cases right here. What happens if we end up doing negative 15 plus 25 divided by 8? Or what happens if we have negative 15 minus 25 divided by 8? So if you do that in your calculator, negative 15 plus 25 is going to give us 10 divided by 8. And then negative 15 minus 25 is going to give us negative 40 divided by 8. So our two answers to this problem is going to be n is equal to, the simplified version of that would be 5/4, or n would be the simplified version of negative 40 divided by 8 is negative 5. So you can see that substituting into the formula here, we get two solutions to the quadratic, which are the roots. Okay? So that happens if we have a rational answer. That means a number that can either be expressed as an integer over an integer, like 5/4, or just a regular number, like negative 5. Okay, so now if we move on to something like this, all right, I've got 4n squared plus 7n minus 3 is equal to 0. I could probably think about, well, can I use the AC method here? I'm not really sure. Maybe you're going to run into it. Okay, it's equal to 0, so we're in good shape. So let's just go ahead and use the quadratic formula. knowing that we have an A value equal to 4, a B value equal to 7, and then a C value equal to -3. Okay, so again, looking up the quadratic formula, it's the opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC, all divided by 2A. Okay, I love to write it out, as you can see, with just parentheses that are holding the spots. Okay, so I've got B is 7, so I've got 7 and a 7 there, minus 4 times A is 4, times C is -3. Oh, see, look, I try to put parentheses in automatically. All divided by 2 times 4 on the denominator here. So again, we're going to evaluate the discriminant. That means what's underneath the radical. Just do that first. So I've got 7 squared minus 4 times -3. So I've got 7 squared times minus 4 times 4 times -3. And then what do we get? 97. Okay, now, so if I try to go, well, what's the square root of 97? You see, we're going to get an irrational answer. So when that happens, okay, we're just going to leave it in our radical form. So I got -7 plus or minus the square root of 97, all divided by 8. And what's nice about irrational solutions is that you are done right there. You don't need to simplify any farther, and that will be a correct answer. Right? There's two. This represents two numbers. Okay. So the last one is this. We've got 5n squared minus 18n plus 15 is equal to 0. That's what we want. We want our equation equal to 0 here. Okay, so I've got an A value of 5, a B value of -18, and then a C value of +15. So let's go ahead and substitute in. So -18 plus or minus -18 squared minus 4 times 5 times C is 15, all divided by 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so what happens here? We've got -18 squared minus 4 times 5 times 15. All right, so I'm going to throw it in here. -18 squared minus 4 times 5 times 15. And what do we get? 24 as our number. Now, when I go to take the square root of 24, okay, it gives us a decimal. But there's something that you can do with 24 that we need to simplify, okay? So what this turns into is the opposite of -18 is +18 plus or minus the square root of 24 divided by 10. Now, the square root of 24 can be simplified, all right? So we've got to do a little side math up here. The square root of 24 is really the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. And if you can remember that we've got to simplify because the square root of 4 becomes 2 radical 6. So what this simplifies to now is 18 plus or minus 2 radical 6s divided by 10. And you can see that everything will simplify here, right? Everything is divisible by 2. So we would get 18 divided by 2 is 9 plus or minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that just goes away. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then that is your final solution to the problem. There are two numbers, two irrational numbers that are solutions. Okay? All right, the quadratic formula. Hope this helps. Good luck.